what has been getting you excited leading up to today?
Is that for me?
Yes, that's absolutely.
Okay.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited. First of all, I don't, and maybe I just dipped out of Friday nights, which is probably what happened. But have you guys been doing this long?
Yeah, we do this every Friday. We do
When did you
this.
start?
Oh, I knew we started doing this. We started doing this back in January, but it didn't. We didn't start doing the lives until I'm gonna say what,
Okay.
March. Do you remember, Angela? Or actually, I could look at. I'll tell you right now. I'll just have to go into the podcast. I'll tell you exactly when we started doing the
I would
lives.
say
Hold on.
March
While we
is
figure that
absolutely a good guess.
right, because episode yeah, because the first couple of episodes was pre-recorded, and then the first episode I did with you when we rebranded, it was still a
Mhm.
pre-recorded episode. Because after you did it was Gladden, and then I believe I'll tell you right now, season four, because season four was when we rebranded. So I have it on Spotify here, so I'm just looking right
Oh, thank you
now.
for asking.
So
It's
yeah,
been a while
so
around, so pretty cool.
actually, correction. The first live we did was actually in February, February 12th, and we had Rhiannon Marie. That was the first one, and then we started going live then. And then the open mic didn't start until episode 7, and episode 8, and that was March 5th.
Nice.
So March 5th is when we started doing the open mics, but we didn't call the open mics jam sessions until maybe
Right.
like 3 weeks ago. So and talking about roots
Uh-huh.
because this platform was known as Jamden Sessions back in the day. So the fact that I'm using that name as the open mic portion of it under Unraveled Influence, I'm like, well, talking about
Uh-huh.
roots, this is what it is. So yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, so I'm gonna say since March we started doing the
Uh-huh.
open
Well, it's
mics,
interesting.
but the
Uh-huh.
interviews have been a thing a while. Yeah,
Oh, it's interesting
sorry, go
because
ahead.
when I met Angela, I never come on that time. I like never, I never come on that time. And something just said, "Hey, go on," and there she was. I was like, "Hey."
Well, it's been pretty incredible. Angie and I, like this whole entire journey has been like kind of like that. Like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden these incredible like people coming out of the woodwork out of nowhere, but they've been around for so long and just being able to connect with so many people that I've never even had the opportunity and just hearing so many incredible stories and
Right.
incredible artistry and that's
Yes.
really what Annie and I really I mean, I always put it back on Andy because Andy was the one who reached out to me about this mission, about
Oh my
giving opportunity to
God.
people like you. And and this is not what we're not here to talk about the history of me and
Oh
Andy
my.
that always comes up, but we really want to hear about what you've been up to because I know you did
Okay.
a full on marathon recently, not too long ago, and then you have something coming up next Friday, and that we really want to
Yes.
highlight. But
Yes.
again, it's all about sharing the voices about because people have stories that we can't hear them unless we get an opportunity to get here. Annie, help me out here. This is why I said I don't know if I can come up. You know what I mean?
No,
Because
so
again,
so if I could put it in
go
simple,
ahead. You never came in at
yeah,
that
if I could put it in
time.
simplest terms, yeah. So if I could put it in simplest terms, the real reason I decided to do this was because, long story short, I wish I had a place where I could just have a voice and just express whatever and have a great conversation with people. But isn't it crazy how you'll have more support from people on social media and people you connect with intimately in that way, but you won't have as much support as people that are actually around you physically? And I was thinking about this for a while, and it was 2020 when I did the podcasting, but as far as Unrivaled Influence, it actually began rebranding this year. And it's interesting. I said, I just want this to be a place where people could just come in, express whatever they're doing, and just have a voice and just have a place to, whether they want to vent or read poetry or whatever. Because at the end of the day, we all have a story to tell. We all have things we want to talk about, and there's no platform that, at least not yet, there's no other platform other than us that do what we do, where we have the interview
Yeah.
and then we do the open mic. and poetry and stuff like that. So when I brought the idea, because it started with me and Leon, and then when I spoke to Leon, because he's taking a hiatus at the moment, but I'll say, hey, what do you think about Angela? And he said, yo, I think you should go for it. And then when me and her spoke after our first interview, just the first interview we did together, I was just like, I think I should hit. Something just told me, hit this woman up. Let me see. And then I felt like I made the right decision here because, like, as you see, it's little by little, it's flourished. It's become this thing. And that's what I want for everybody, just to, like, hey, you never, like, just because we're not celebrities doesn't mean we can't have a place to have a conversation, have an interview, or just to talk, you know, and we don't have that. And the fact that I use the podcast platform to post it there so now other platforms can listen to it, it's like, you never know who needs to hear these conversations. That's what my whole thing is. I wish I had this. So I said, let me be the one that provides, and let me be the one that, you know what, I want to be the one that builds the bridge, and maybe it'll inspire somebody else to want to do the same thing. And recently I've had people come up to me asking me about podcasting, that they want to start their own. So I feel like the mission is beginning a little bit, so I'm happy about that.
That is so cool to, you know, sometimes if you don't see something, you have to build it yourself. You know? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And so you're saying that because you put podcasting, it will allow you to post it to all these other platforms?
Yeah. Yeah, so I use a host called Acast, and then what Acast does, it posts it sends it to all the other platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and all these other platforms and stuff like that. And then it just, you know, and it'll put you under a category of whatever category you put yourself under. That's what it will show up in whatever the network is. So
that's brilliant.
And then I have to, and I have to manually do it on YouTube because it gives me the option to do YouTube, but I have to pay for the service for me to get the YouTube feature. I'm like, nah, I could do that myself.
Wow. You sound like you're so skilled with it all.
It's a working process. No, you know what's funny? I just know the bare minimum. I just know the basics. But it's because I saw tutorials and I just took whatever I felt was easiest for me. And I said, all right, let me just work with what I have.
Wow, it's pretty exciting though. Now you're the pro. I love it.
Thank you. So I mean, I didn't, you know, this was what's the word? Like, this was a fight, I guess you could say, to have what I have today, because I didn't always have these things. So I want to share it. I don't want to just keep it to myself.
Were you born and raised in Los Angeles? Wait. Where are you from?
Me? Oh, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And Angela lives in Ohio.
But I was born in LA. That's my one claim to fame, is I was born in LA, but I didn't live there long enough to really get my coast, you know, my fame. But I was there from like birth to like about 4.5, and then we went to Ohio.
Cool.
Been Midwest the whole time, but I was in a J.C. Penney commercial. So that what could have been?
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, child actor.
Could have been.
Oh, so that should be a fun fact. Fun fact number 1: Angela Murray was in a J.C. Penney commercial.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I don't know how fun of a fact that is, but it's hilarious.
That's cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
I do feel like that's in my heart, West Coast. Somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, you were born here, so you're West Coast too. We're claiming it. So,
we have some Brooklyn Nights here. Lucy Martinez. Hello, how are you? Welcome. So if you're just joining us, we're doing the first portion of our live where we're having an interview at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is right now. And then 10 p.m. is the open mic / poetry Jasmine Sessions Live. So, you know, like I said, thank you for joining us, guys. So I'm going to start with this question. So when we first spoke, me and you talking about, I remember it started with the episode, I don't remember what episode it was, where I said people forget where they come from, and then you had DM'd me saying, oh, okay, so you understand, and then you invited me to the Haiti High 24, and then I did that live, what would you do? And I think that's how we connected, but it's so interesting. So my question to you is, what inspired you to
Okay.
want to start doing these lives? Is my first
That's a
question, and
great
why?
question. I think it's a beautiful question. Okay. So I was inspired literally by the Haitians that came to America because I watch the news. I have learned through this process, but that a lot of people don't watch the news. But I watch the news. And so, you know how we all were sitting at home in 2020 and we saw George and Armand and Brianna? So in
Mm.
2021, September 2021, that's kind of like what this experience was like for me. I saw, like, living in America or in LA, I don't know what it is, but the coverage, because I live in such a high immigrant area where different all these communities are, when I came, um, or when they showed this on TV, it really like spoke to me. I was so hurt by it. I was hurt by it.
Mm.
I was in shock because it looked to me like I was looking at the
Wow.
1950s, like somebody had snatched me back. And for me,
Wow.
it was like seeing dogs and water hoses. That's what it looks like to me. It looked like I was seeing people hose down and the dogs sicked on. They brought these huge horses, and horses are intimidating, period, anyway. But they were charging them at people like they were hurting them like cattle, in today's time. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
They had
Okay.
these reins that cut off at the end and
Wow.
they were really long, and they were raising them in the air, threatening them like they were going to hit them. I'm in this park and these little bugs. So they were raising these reins like they were going to hit them. And if you guys ever heard like different people, when you have an instrument and you use it as a weapon, it's actually a threat. And so I couldn't believe
Mm.
that they were doing this because
Mhm.
these little bugs. Okay, I couldn't believe it because they were doing it. Period. Just period. That was shocking. But the whole year we had all been watching this news coverage of immigrants and migrants walking through Mexico to come to America the whole year. So it started at 78,000 in January. It went up to like 101 March, 178
Mm.
April and May. By July and August, it was over 200,000. There were no horses. There were no whip,
Wow.
threatened people with whips. There was
Mhm.
none of that.
Mhm.
And what really caught the news was, I think the total was about 50,000 Haitians that came. They started coming in August. And if you know, back then, August was when the Afghanistan situation was happening and they were trying to get the Afghanistans out. So it was around the same time period. And so again, for me, I'm
Mm.
looking at two different groups. A lot of different groups migrate to America and have the different reasons that they come. So I
Mhm.
saw a lot of Afghanistans and how they were coming and they were running for their lives. And I saw the same with Haitians.
Mhm.
And then when they were treating, right, when they were
Wow.
treated so differently, to me, it was just heartbroken. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And it was 10,000 that had refused to leave that caught the news. And that's why the news began to pick up. And, that those people staying, saying, hey, we're insisting on this American dream here. We're staying for that. We're here. That's why we came.
Mhm.
And because they stayed, then it started picking up on the news. And then, of course, that's when it went really weird in the whole let's clean up and handle this situation because the border's out of control, and
Mhm.
let's get these people out of here. So the end result was they accepted about 12,000 Haitians. They sent 40,000 away, but that month, 192,000 was the total accepted. And that was that month.
Wow.
The month before was like 200 and
Wow.
something, you know? So it just disturbed my soul.
Mhm.
It disturbed my
Wow.
soul. And then just like if you looked at the pictures, you see fathers with these little babies, you see mothers with their daughters, you see all these little beautiful family units coming together to make it to America. Just coming to
Wow.
for that American dream like
Wow.
everybody else does, you know? And they can't, and for them to even come means they believed in it. Come on now, they believed in it. They believed in it. They believed in us.
Yeah.
And then that happened. I was disappointed. I was disappointed in America.
Wow. Wow. You know, because it's that fight. You just have to keep fighting and wrestling with so many things around you to get to where you
Hmm.
want to get
Hmm.
to, you know. And it's like you said, I'm with you on that with the whole disappointment thing because I do feel disappointed at times too because I feel like, you know, not to be political, but I feel like America paints this picture
Hmm.
to have this dream, but then when we finally chase the dream, the reality is not what it seems to be. It's like we paint this picture of life to
Hmm.
look a certain way, but then when we really see beyond the painting, we
Hmm.
realize it's not really that. That's
Hmm.
not really what that is. And it sucks that there's no one, because let's be honest, schools and life like that is, you know, people around you, your parents, or they're not going to teach you
Yeah.
these things. This is something that, unfortunately, you have to learn the hard way. Like I said, like when I was growing up, my father never really sat down with me and talked to me about life. I had to
Yeah.
learn life on my own. I was sheltered, and when I finally
Yeah.
get on my own, I went to college. You know, I had to learn the harsh realities that hey, this world
Right.
is not always a beautiful place to live. It's what you make it to be. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you can't. It sucks that I have to kind of
Yeah.
look over my shoulder at times. You know, it's like, and you brought up the whole George Floyd thing. I'll be honest, when I first saw that, I was actually
Hmm.
angered by that. Because my son
Oh,
just turned
no.
1 at the time,
Congratulations.
and to me, thank you. And you know, he's 4 now, but he's gonna be 5 in February. But it's like my whole thing is there's gonna be a time he's gonna ask me about that. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna know what the answer is, and that's what's
Yeah.
scary about it.
Yeah.
Just a few things that really kind of connected to me that I'm so glad that you brought this up because, you know, you look throughout not just, you know, the past, you know, history of, you know, America, but just how blatantly aggressive and in your face the injustices still are, that it becomes, like you said, almost like a self fulfilling prophecy where we forget where we came from, where we can have a beautiful dream that is a family and all of that incredible things that are happening, but at the same time, we're trapped because
Yeah.
these are my students, these are people that I love, that they are afraid to be out there and just exist as human beings, and it's very discouraging to try and give them an opportunity to have a voice, but they
Right.
don't see themselves or hear their own voice. And that's where I think that's where you come from, and that's where you are leading this
Right.
opportunity for people to honor their heritage,
Yeah.
honor their culture, because that is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. And again,
Absolutely.
we have to open up and allow ourselves
Yeah.
to stop talking and listen,
Yeah.
because there's so many beautiful things that are coming from conversations like this. And
It,
again, thank you
it's
so much for doing this.
oh no, absolutely. I'm
Yeah, like be
yeah.
voice of the voiceless, pretty
Yes,
much.
yes.
You know.
I'm so glad you guys have this platform because the beauty is, you know, we can get distracted and forget a lot of different things, you know, generationally ongoing and ongoing. And the beauty is this allows everybody to say, "Hey, wait a minute. I'm like them. I'm like that." If you think about your ancestors most and how you got here, it was the same or similar process. And it allows for a sense of community and connecting that I think we're missing a lot today. Hmm.
Yeah. I feel like I don't want to say it's gotten lost. I
Yeah.
feel like it's gotten distorted. I always say this with a lot of things, but I feel like distortion has taken over so many things. And I feel like, knowing the roots and because, you know, like I'm born 1985, so I'm considered by category a millennial, I guess. I don't know how those categories work, but anything after this, you know, anything after millennials, I don't know the names like that, but I look at these kids that are old enough to be my child, like these 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds. I see my own nephew, my
Yeah.
sister's child. I'm just like, they don't understand. Like, you know, they're talking about like my nephew got mad one time because his mom took away the cell phone. I'm like, I was getting hit with a belt just for taking something out the
Oh my
kitchen.
gosh, I
Like,
know.
you
I
kidding me?
know.
You're mad because he put you on timeout? You're mad because my sister put
Right,
you on
right.
timeout? My father makes me make me vanilla rice and carry a textbook
Yeah.
over my head. It wouldn't last a day
Yeah.
in my childhood. And it's just like I feel like the millennials have paved the way to be better, but somehow it's gotten so messed up in a way that it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell happened? So that's always been my argument. What
Exactly.
happened? Where did I don't know? I don't want to say millennials, but I might as well. It's like, where
Yeah.
did we go wrong with how this is? Because the people who are
Yeah.
like 21, when my son is
Yeah.
older, they're gonna
They
be
are.
the authorities
Yeah. They
over my
are.
child's life. And it's like I fear for that because authority figures in my life were like
Yeah.
all of them be my parents. They taught us about respect, do your
Yeah.
work, mind your business, just do your job, don't question your boss unless you
Yeah.
really, really have to, but don't cause the ruckus. Like just shush, keep your job, don't get fired. Like pretty much work and then
Yeah. Yeah.
relax
Yeah.
later. That's the way I
Yeah.
grew
Yeah.
up. But it's not like that anymore. Everybody wants
Yeah.
the easy way out. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
not how that works. I'm sorry. I could, yeah. If I don't start talking, I could go on for days about this topic. But it's just,
Yeah.
it angers
Yeah.
me a
And I'm
lot. And I don't mean to be like that. But I'm like, Lord, forgive me. But it's like,
If I can
ugh.
say just two quick things, is I think one, I think there are a lot of really great. I'm sorry.
I can hear you.
Just two quick things. Oh, I
Wait.
didn't know. I didn't want to talk over you, Denise. But real quick, two things. I think there are great conversations that are happening, but they're not necessarily being communicated across lines because too many
Right.
people
Right.
don't
Exactly.
know when it's time to listen versus when it's time to
Yeah.
share.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
two, Andy, oh gosh, what was the last point? It was something with along the lines of what you said lastly. But I'll come back to that. Like you were saying, Denise, go ahead.
Yes. Well, I like that you mentioned, the millennials, and I think it's X and Z. Generation X was after millennials. I think they call them Z now,
Okay.
I think. But that's another reason.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I don't know what happened to why.
I'm not a fan of the younger generation. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan. Like, I can't. I work with some of them at work currently, and it's like, oh, you guys don't know
Oh, that's what
dick.
it was,
Like,
Andy. That's what it was. I think part of it is that because we are so distracted with some of our, abilities to distract ourselves through social media, through, being with our peer groups, through, taking time off with like just
Yeah.
whatever, being a child, but we forget about the real injustices that are going on because we are distracted, and so I think
Yeah.
therefore we forget our
yes.
anger is there. It's
Yeah.
subconscious, but then it gets mismanaged and misguided, and
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
angry. I think the youth
Yes.
is angry, and they don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
They know they have a reason to be angry, and
Right.
some of them have like real legitimate. I'm going to tell you why I'm angry, and you go, "Yes, you're fucking right to be angry,
Right.
absolutely."
Right.
But that's where I think this artistry is so needed, and that's where building the bridge and showcasing this ability to honor ourselves, because like you said before,
Absolutely.
Denise, and I'd like for you to go ahead and echo that point again, how
Yes.
we are able to share
And
that. Go ahead.
and 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 I like when you brought the next generations because what we accept now is the future. And that's another reason why I did the live was to try to reach out to a lot of the college and collegiate community and try to get them involved. And this is a time period where there's so many children that are taking their lives. And
Mm.
poetry gives you a chance to express yourself. It gives you a place to be heard. It is so powerful in that it allows you to release, and you'll find that you are not alone and that there are other people that feel similarly, and so it benefits society and the community as well. And that's another thing I want to try to share, and with more and more to get people into and excited about and wanting to listen and share poetry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of that, that leads to my next question because it reminded me of a live we did with Robert Charbonneau that talks about poetry. Do you think poetry is dying, or do you think poetry is just lost, or do you think do you think poetry has gotten distorted where we need to redirect poetry? What is your opinion on
I
that?
think that as we were talking about, as you mentioned earlier, there's distractions, and I think, for example, the internet. I do because back in the day, a lot of people read, you know, and a lot of times people are watching instead of
Yeah.
doing, whether they're doing is writing or going to listen to other people. I think I believe, and they were doing away with cell phones between school hours. It's interesting because a cell
Mm.
phone can connect you, but it can disconnect you at the same time.
Yeah.
That's my
Wow.
And
dream.
I think that, yeah, it really can. And so I don't know that it's dying. I just think that there are other things to distract it. I think what's beautiful is we can do this in different states, which we couldn't have done before.
This is true.
But yeah, I mean that's the positive part. But I think that just the more we make it common, and the more we have our different communities to bring it to them, and they see it, then the more they'll get used to it, and then we can, continue to promote it. I think we should go to.
Yeah. No, no. It makes sense though. It definitely makes sense. I'm just trying to absorb everything you're saying because it's so true.
I think we can get it there, but we have to do that by introducing it to people. And I
Yeah.
keep saying I'm going to get on TikTok. I don't know if they're getting ready to ban TikTok because I know one state that banned it yesterday.
Oh, wow. So you know what's funny? I forget I have a TikTok and like the last episode I posted was episode 6. I forget sometimes that the TikTok is there. That
Yeah,
it's just there. But it's like
yeah,
a part of me has no interest in it. And it's like I know it's a good way to advertise because let's say we're three different people, we have an account, but we look
yeah,
at one video, then somehow that one video you saw somehow in our somewhat of a circle somehow you would me and Angela would see
right,
that video too. It's weird the way the algorithm is a little bit different than all the other platforms
yeah,
that have algorithms. I noticed that. And then
right.
with YouTube, they prioritize it based on the wording you use at the title of your video. So it's weird.
Of your
These
piece.
algorithms are weird. I've been
Wow.
studying it and I'm just like, okay, I don't remember algorithms when I had MySpace. It was just whoever followed you or were friends, everybody saw it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But from what I'm understanding, and now I think it's probably true, that's where the X and the Y and the Z's are.
Oh,
TikTok.
God. Yeah. But you know what sucks though? Like
I know.
you have to have at least 1,000 followers just so you could use a clickable link. There's another issue too that people are having with
Wow.
it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and for you to
That's
go
interesting. I'm
live,
not that familiar with that world.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you have to have 1,000 followers too just so you can go live on there.
Wow.
So that's
Okay.
why I feel like it's
Okay. Well,
useless.
good to know. Right. I hear you, but that's where the kiddies are, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Everything's all dance videos and
Yeah.
well depending on what time of the
Yeah.
night if you're doing overnight, let's just say I've accidentally come across things that I'm like, okay, why is this popping up on my feed? I remember one time I was like, wait, this
Yeah.
is what you do, this is what you do. I'm like, no babe, no, I had to show her I'm watching wrestling and all of a sudden you see a woman twerking. I'm like, no, that's not what I had to show my wife. Like it was just, oh my god, it's so embarrassing. Like, it was so embarrassing. I was like, no, babe, I was watching wrestling. I was watching a certain like clips, and then this one woman twerking just came out of nowhere. Like, I'm like, no, that's not what it is. And I'm just like, oh my god. But you see how social media and TikTok can be dangerous too, and I think I can see why that state banned it because of that. Okay. She got cut off.
We'll get her back. No worries. But I definitely understand what you're saying. Also, though, I've had a lot of people suggest that, yeah, you should move to TikTok, but there's just
But there's a
no
lot of restrictions though, as
way.
far as what we're doing.
I
We
don't
wouldn't be
think
able to do what we
so.
do though.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I just refuse to do anything that people are into like that. It's too popular for me right now. It's got to be a fad first. So, I did invite our guests back. So hopefully, we'll
Oh
have
yeah, I keep
opportunities
forgetting.
back shortly. Um,
Oh crap! Murphy's Law? I always say this.
I know.
Murphy's Law.
I hope it wasn't just an issue with technology on her end with a potential bad
Oh
recording, but
man, we were so having a great conversation too.
I
Ah,
know.
so
I always appreciate that because she did you so she spoke to you earlier about what she's doing next week. Do you know how
yes,
to what's going on with that?
so she
Can you
does.
speak on that? Hmm.
Yeah. So there's Haiti. So she did the Haiti 24 series, right? So she last time was What Would You Do? This was based on a song
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
City High. What would you do if your girl's at home? You know that
Hmm.
song.
Yes,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
she's doing another one now called The Dream, which is based on Biggie Smalls' song. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Heavy D up in the limousine,
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
all that other stuff.
Love it, love it.
So I grew up with
I love
that.
it.
But
I love
anyway,
it. Yeah. Hey,
it
I
was
love
all
it.
a dream. Yeah, no. So she's doing a prop based on that, but it still talks about Haiti and the dream. I get it because she's trying to say like the whole dream aspect of it, the American dream. And she was just talking about it now, actually.
Hmm.
That it was going to
Hmm.
lead into my next question, but then I don't know what happened with Denise Washington. It says she's in the room,
All
but
right.
is she having a
I'll
hard
try
time?
again. I messaged her, but I love that whole opportunity there that she's providing and she's leading, like you said, driving the voice for not necessarily the voiceless, but giving an opportunity to magnify those voices. Because absolutely, should be a place where other people are getting through and accepted a dream based on certain expectations or avenues and um, how else would I would say it? Nepotism kind of opportunities, and other people are being
Yeah,
turned away. And again, it's disgusting because that it is in your face, and at times it's so blatantly in your face what's going on that people are angry, and it makes sense that anger is there. But
yeah,
if we cannot manage this, if we cannot come to a resolution and allow that anger to be processed, we are doomed. So like I said, it's times like this that where I want to have these guests so we can hear more and more opportunities from multiple voices because we keep learning from more and more people that we have on our show. And
yeah.
unfortunately, I keep getting a rejection message, but I'm going to try one more time. But what was your question? What was your next question?
I guess, because she talked about dreams, so I was gonna ask her about what made her call this particular series, like, why this one is called The Dream. Like, what inspired that? Because Biggie does talk about like his childhood, his upbringing, and he said it was all a dream. I used to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this is how I used to think about. This is what I wanted growing up, and to think now, here I am rapping about life, rapping about, yeah, look, no more public housing, and this is the dream, and all this other stuff. And I wanted to ask her if she could touch on that more, but again, we got technical difficulties, and yeah, I don't know. I think her phone might have died. No, but then she would have popped off the live, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I sent a message, but I didn't get anything.
Yes, guys, I am so sorry for the technical difficulties. Um, I don't know what happened, guys. I apologize for the
I'm going to try
technical difficulties. Oh man, it was
such a great
wow.
conversation.
I know. Worst case scenario, we can always do another one with her on
Of
it
course,
if she can't
of
come
course.
back here. Oh wait.
Yay!
Okay,
Okay.
wait. What just happened?
It
Wait a minute.
we got
Okay,
her
wait.
back.
Okay, wait. Hold on one second. Okay.
Yay! I was so worried, Candy. I was so worried because this always happens to me.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
The
Okay. Hold on one second. Stay
all
with
right.
me.
The devil's a liar. Devil is a liar. Oh, I see. I think she's having connection issues because I see the circle.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, while we're waiting for her, I guess, to get settled in, what I do want to say, between Quill Keepers and Two Keys Customs, I think they're still in the room. Yeah, your giveaway has arrived to, what is Just Start Live again? Australia?
England. England.
Oh, England. Yeah, so your stuff arrived. We did the giveaway that had Quill Keepers press stuff. It had
Yay!
Two Keys custom stuff, which I tagged you guys in. So she was very grateful to receive it. So we gotta do more giveaways soon for sure.
Yep, I still
Um,
have some stuff, so maybe to feel better about some stuff. Giveaways always make you feel good, you know what I mean? But you feel
yeah.
shit doing something good. I'm gonna try boosting her back in.
Oh, this is damn. Like I said, worst case scenario, we can always do another one
Of
if we
course,
can't.
of course.
Can you pull me up? She
There we
said.
go.
Okay,
There we
wait.
go.
No, not. Okay, okay. You know, it's okay. Look, just you have to tell me how I look because I don't know. Can you see?
You look good. You look
Beautiful,
perfect.
beautiful.
Okay, very good. Sorry about
Yay.
that.
No,
No,
that's
it's fine.
all right. It's my fault.
No,
I feel like it's got to be
no,
my
no. The devil's a liar because he knows by having good conversation, he tried to like
Okay,
stop this conversation. Like,
exactly.
nope.
Okay.
But Andy, you had a really amazing question. Will you please bring that back up about what you wanted to
Yeah,
dig into?
so I know you talked about City High. You talked about, what would you do? And I think I see what you're doing because I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I'm understanding it. What would you do is there's that wonder. What would I do if I was in this situation? And I feel like the dream is now I'm having this dream, kind of like Martin Luther King kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like I
Yes.
have a dream speech,
Well, you're close,
and it's
but
like, okay,
it's more like Biggie Smalls, though.
no, yeah, but I was gonna say, like, because he said it was all a dream. I used to do this. It's like pretty much saying I used to read, or I used to go through all this stuff, but the dream came to reality because here I am now. I'm on the
Yeah.
cover of the source. My mom's proud of me. I left a
Yes.
legacy behind. So even though unfortunately he was dead now due to
Yeah.
unfortunate circumstances, but he left behind a legacy. I actually remember
A
when he died
legacy.
because I remember Best Buy
Yeah.
was crowded like crazy. We were because I used to live
Yeah.
in Bushwick, so Best Buy was not even that far. Like once you pass Woodhull Hospital,
Uh-huh.
Best Buy was literally on the other side. So I remember all these cars and everybody like not rioting, but it was more like a celebration.
Yes.
But it's because he left behind a legacy
A legacy.
where
A
he
legacy.
was
Yes.
able to. So I feel like that's what the dream is. The dream is that's my dream to leave behind a legacy
Yeah.
to have a lasting impact. So that way, when I pass on, I will still be remembered for that. And if I could take it into context, I feel like back in the 50s, that's what Allen Ginsberg was trying to do when the
Uh-huh.
Beat Generation transitioned into the hippies era, because that was the bridge to that
Oh.
era. And he left
Yeah.
behind the legacy is, okay, yeah, I came from the silent generation, but I'm going to talk about stuff that you guys refuse to talk about. And that's why Allen
Yeah.
Ginsberg had a lot of controversy because he was talking about stuff that, no, you can't talk about that in the 40s.
Right.
He didn't
Right.
care. He was a professor and
Right.
everything. He didn't care. He did not care. And even though people don't like him, but I appreciate Allen Ginsberg because he wasn't afraid. So, someone that was born from
'Cause-
that time, he wasn't
yeah.
afraid to address issues that schools did not want to talk about. So
Well,
I
I
feel like
have
in
to
that same
tell
way,
you,
they can do the same thing.
right? I have to tell you, living in Los Angeles, I lived down the street from that museum where it all went down.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but it was like it was all a dream, right? So I'm trying to find creative ways for people to still write about the topic from a different perspective. You know, so that's what part of that was, trying to do it. Just with a little extra flair on it, on top of it. But what are your ancestors' dreams? What were they when they came to America? Getting to America, before they came to America. What are those dreams like? What are your dreams for your prosperity? For your future.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it's about.
Because I know a dream for me, I mean, I think this is a good topic to have right now. Like, I mean, I guess if anyone in the comments wants to put their definition, what was a dream for you? Is the
Yeah.
question. So I think dream for me would be like, I know I wasn't going to live in the projects for the rest of my life. I know I wasn't going to live with my parents for the rest of my life, even though I felt trapped, and I felt like this was always going to be a story of my life. I was never going to get married. I was never going to have a kid or nothing like that. I was always going to live in this rinky-dinky apartment because that's all my parents could provide for me. And it's like, I look back now because I went through psychiatric therapy. I've been in a psych ward. I've been on medication. I was considered a special needs child. I was diagnosed with schizotypal personality disorder and ADHD. And it's like all these things thrown and thrown and thrown, and all these things, these labels, right? Because growing up, there was that, and I remember on your live I talked about it. There's that, not the verbal abuse was unintentional verbal abuse, because you gotta understand something. I grew up with that tough love. There was never that affectionate love. So I thought that's what love was supposed to be like. I thought that's how life was. And then I realized when I got married, my wife, she put me in my place because she had a similar upbringing, but just not from that poor aspect, but because her mom refused to be a statistic in that whole, I'm Hispanic living in the projects or foods, that she refused. Like, she started from the ground up. That's how her mom was, and her mom's from Peru. And I feel like so that's why my wife's never going to understand my part of the upbringing, but she understands the similarity as, we had verbal abuse growing up. There was a lot of, name calling, because that's just what we grew up with. But the fact is, when I remember a few times I've gotten loud with my wife, and one thing I love about my wife and I appreciate is that I remember a few times she put me in my place. She said, listen, I understand what you've been through, but you would not talk to me like that again. You will not treat me like that again. And I said, all right, my bad.
You grow
I'm sorry.
from that. Yeah, you grow from that. Yeah.
Because that's how I grew up. Because my father was very like loud, but not on purpose. That's just how it was. Like, I'm the man, and you're the I'm the man, and you're the woman. Like, I'm the one that's doing everything. And it's like, I used to think that's what it was. That's what marriages do. So that's why I never wanted to get married, even though there was the dream of wanting to have a family. So there's so much misconceptions about marriage that I'm glad that me and my wife were able to break out of that, where we built our own foundation through Christ, and we were able to have our son, miracle baby. And it's like this whole thing. This is what we want, or I want our son to see that, hey, listen, we have ups and downs, but we're always going to be together because we always believe in the one that helps us hope. Without that, I can't do it on my own. I can't. I'll be honest with you.
And that ties into the dream, you have for your children. She's from Peru. Where are your ancestors from?
So my parents are Puerto Rican. That's where they're from.
Okay, so they're from Puerto Rico. She's from Peru. That's an immigrant story right there. An immigrant dreams right there. Exactly.
Yeah, and she actually was born over there. She was actually born in Peru, and then she came over here. And because my wife is Puerto Rican, Mexican, and Peruvian, so her father was born here in the States, but he's Puerto Rican Mexican. But her mom was born in Peru, so she came here, and she told me the little stories about how her mom, like when she moved to America, her family disowned her because they're like, "Oh, you think you're better than us now?" kind of thing. So the fight that her mom had to go through to get to where she's at today. Now she's retired, she's enjoying her life now, but it was a fight. It was one of those things like. There's a lot of hardships you're going to go through. You're going to go through hurts. You're going to see who your true friends and who your true people are. And sometimes that reality hurts.
Absolutely. And Angela, what was your how did your ancestors come here? Or did they have an opportunity to share all that with you, or?
I can speak on that a little bit, but first I wanted to welcome Rainer to our screen here. And did you want to mention something first to our wonderful guests? I want to give you an opportunity to comment or ask a question first, and then I'll bring that up.
Okay.
I mainly wanted to ask Denise, like, with her big drive on stuff like Haiti, how are you finding that? Have you been getting a lot of positive results and a lot of uptake and people identifying, not within governments, but within our community and so forth?
That's a really great question. So what's interesting is my biggest challenge was in sharing this with people, because I found literally through this experience that a lot of Americans and a lot of Black Americans do not watch the news. And why? Because if you look at the news is really centered on loss of life. Those are the stories that we see predominantly. So I get it. So for me, it's been a challenge in trying to share that this even happened, because a lot of people don't even know. You know, even when I've been reaching out to universities and colleges, a lot of the kids don't know, have no idea it even happened. You know, and to me, because it was so drastic to me, the way they treated the black migrants was so drastic, so 1950s, that to me that's like not knowing about 2020, you know. And so for me, it was like 2020 at the border. So for me, it's something that hurt me and that I'm very passionate about, because I think that when you let certain things go and you don't address them, they kind of set the tone. And, you know, after that happened, you know, we had the Ukrainian war, right? And then specifically, well, it wasn't specific then, it was blacks, Asians, Middle Easterners, and Asian people that were not allowed to leave in the same manner the Europeans were allowed to leave, you know? And I think that had we all stood up as a nation for what happened over here, I don't think that would have happened like that over there, you know? And then later in the year in Spain, there were some Africans trying to migrate to Spain, and they were shot by some of the agents, and some of them actually lost their lives. So I feel like that was so big for the society that we live in today, that it's vital that we respond to that. I really think that's important. And that's one of the purposes of Haiti 24, is to, you know, to get the word out, to share it, so that we are aware. Because what happens is it's kind of like, you know, if you have an abusive relationship, right? Somebody hits you and you don't say anything about it. They're probably going to hit you again. You know, and it escalates and it gets worse. And we've seen even here where, I don't know, it's like this weird push with Roe versus Wade. Everything is like a push back to old America. Yeah. Like, why?
That's
great.
Yeah.
You know, race relations and, you know, sexism. It's great. And even like with the issues in Florida, you know, with the, what is it? With them not wanting to talk about gay, that, you know, like gay people don't exist, you know? It's all going backward. You know, it's all,
you know what's crazy?
It's like, it's like I don't even know how to function. How blatant it is and how in your face it is. It is exactly how you said. And it's been like that though for a while. How blatantly in your face, but a lot of us have been having a luxury or a privilege to not notice it. And again, with 2020, I know we brought that up, that we have the opportunity that was really in a lot of people's faces. There was nowhere for anyone to turn, and people were like, holy, you know, and part of me is, holy fuck, what the fuck is going on? And people are like, this has been fucking going on and worse for a long time. What do you mean? This has been going on for a long time.
And so, this is not new. This is not new. People make it think it's new, but no, it just seems like it's a new thing because of all the technology that's advanced, so it makes it seem like, oh my God, it's going. No, this has been going on for years, even before I was even born. Any of us was born. People forget.
At the same time, I'm going to say this because, like you've said too, the media with the news being very negative and law-centric, and I work in a school district where the media can be very negative when there's a lot of beautiful, glorious, intelligent, incredible, incredible legacy building things that are happening, but it gets lost in the what is the best soundbite, what works best in the moment, and what sells. And that's why, like you said, if we can have these voices open and out there, that stigma, that unnecessarity, that doesn't, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a little too, like, my words aren't making sense because I want to
I'm following you
perfect on this, because
I'm following you.
Opportunity when those youth get to speak, because they are speaking, but we don't hear them, and that's when we can share, when they get to share that, and it's accepted and it's beautiful, and that's why I really am so happy that we can honor you. And what an incredible question. Thank you for asking that.
That's a great question. Absolutely.
I really respected and appreciated we probably connected quite well on that, and like I was happy to sit there support you, because out here in Australia we knew nothing about it. And
Yeah.
the funny
Yeah.
thing is, and this, my point that I'm going to make is, it applies to relationships, it applies to families, it applies to nations. Funnily,
Yes.
we are more concerned about other people and their problems than our
Mm.
own, right? So,
Yeah.
Denise, you mentioned a great point there. The Ukraine war came up.
Yeah.
So America was more concerned with the Ukraine war than about this thing that happened not only a couple of years before in their own borders, in their own. How about judging ourselves in a
Yeah.
relationship? We're worried about, oh, he did this and she did that, but how
Mhm.
about our own relationships? Do we look at that?
But you know what's crazy? We're the ones that suffer the consequences. That's the problem. We suffer the consequences for the stupidity of this country. This sucks because now we're up in everybody else's business. But man, what about us? What about make sure our economy is better? What about make sure we get jobs? What about decreasing the rate of unemployment or even homelessness? Like, you're so focused on, like, that's nothing to do with you. Like, focus on the now. Like, what's
Yep.
going on here?
Yep.
And it's sad. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, honestly. It's just
And then I will say this, Andy. This isn't necessarily meant to be a political spin-off, because people are going to have definitely varying views. But the point I think is that we are trying to make is people deserve to have access to life,
yeah.
access to a valuable life, access to an enriched life, and an opportunity to express themselves in a way that allows their voice to be heard.
Yes.
And that's all that
Yes.
matters. And that's not, I mean,
So
whether you want to
beautifully
think
said, Angela.
well, I think
Beautifully
the
Yes.
said.
bottom line is that's why I don't understand. To me, I don't really skew political, even though I'm very political minded as far as like my own views. I have my own. I'm very
Yeah.
liberal, obviously. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, I just don't understand why we can't live by that basic ideology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because fear. I mean, there's a lot. There's fear. There's again. We want to protect our family, and there's a lot of things that drive that kind of psychosis. But I think Andy
Yeah.
said it before, and I want to leave on this point. Even though we're so connected, it feels like at times we're so disconnected as people, because we're so ingrained in that separateness because of technology. That buffer has created that. But again, like I said,
Two topics I never get involved in is politics and religion, because everybody's got their own personal views, and that's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Me, all
Yeah.
I ask from any political party is, I don't care if you want to tax me more. I don't care if I've got to work longer hours. All to me that's important is, when I go to work, or well, I don't have little kids anymore, but when I had young kid, when my son was young, when he goes to school, that I know he'll return home safely, and that my wife and kids are safe while I'm earning, right? I'll go
Exactly.
and
You
work
got
2 jobs if I have to pay more taxes. Long as I
yes.
know my wife and kids are safe while I'm away earning that money. That's all I
So
ask.
true. It's so true. Exactly.
I agree.
And that's another point. When you were talking about what feedback I get back, I've had some people say, "Well, they don't do political." Well, guess what? I don't do political either. It's not political to reach out to help your brother or your sister or your fellow human being, and that's one thing that one point of the life too is to dispel some of those myths. I've had someone say I was comparing Haiti to Ukraine, and they said I shouldn't do that, and I said, "Well, why? It's the same situation. You have a country trying to be taken over by somebody else, right? Somebody assassinated the Haitian president, so they fled. So you have Ukraine. Somebody literally tried to take their country too, and they fled. And look at how differently we've treated both groups. So it's very vital to the conversation. It is.
I think it's
And it's
important not to confuse moralistic obligations for humanity with politics. If the political part of it involves that moralistic obligation, that's not discussing politics. What you were doing is discussing a very human moralistic obligation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So well said. So well said. Yes. Yes.
And I think, Denise, you made an incredible point that needs to be echoed again about politics or not. What's right is right. And being silent is complicit. And at the same time, I want to be quiet because I want more voices to be heard. But at the same time, if I'm quiet and complicit in allowing this to be just ignored, then I'm part of the problem. So it's important
Exactly.
to have conversations like this. So again, I
Yeah.
appreciate what you just mentioned too.
Yes.
We have to have conversations like this. So
We
Yes.
do.
Denise, we're getting towards the end of our hour honoring you, and I want to give you an opportunity to say as much about anything else before we
Okay.
have to unfortunately
Thank
wrap up our
you.
first hour with you. But again, I want to talk about what you're
Absolutely.
doing next Friday and
Yes.
how people can
Okay.
join you.
Very good. So next Friday is the monthly event called Haiti 24. It was created because some of the Haitians said they felt humiliated before the whole world because of how they were treated. So we were like, no, you should never feel bad about coming to America. So we wanted to lift them up. That's number one. Number two is to share with the world that blacks migrate too. A lot of people, even black people, don't think of black people as migrants or immigrant. We'll say Trinidadian, Nigerian, Ethiopian, but we don't think migrant. And blacks are part of the migrant experience in America too. So it's to share that with the world. And then just to stand in solidarity for equality, whether it's on the streets or at the border. That's the 3 points components of Haiti 24. And we want people to come on the live on Friday, next Friday, and either do one of two things. You can write a piece. I have the prompts on my page, or you can just come on and say some positive words to uplift your fellow human being. That's it. Come on board. Say, hey, Haiti, you know what? Keep going. Believe in yourself. Let America know we all need to still stand together as brothers and sisters to keep America as America, that place that people can go to in the world. We want that place open and equal for everybody, and just come on and support. So either verbally come on and support, or come on and share your piece at 4 p.m. That's that. I was trying to.
Oh my
Give me
gosh.
a link, Denise. I'd love to join, especially your Friday nights, my Saturday morning. So that'd be great.
Yes, I love it. I look forward to it, Rainier. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Always lovely to see you. I'll drop off and let you finish off your interview
You
with
too.
Denise. Really lovely
You
to
too
see you
as
all.
well.
See you soon.
Thank
Thank
you. You
you.
too as well. Yes, yes.
All
So,
right.
guys, that's what it is. What we want is just a beautiful day of love and positivity, positive vibes, positive life, whether someone has a painting about, some beautiful painting about love and support and community, or a painting of Haitians, or a sculpture, or a dance, or if somebody has a song, that's all welcome too as artists, and certainly, of course, poetry and spoken word. So, we just want people to come create a love fest with us, to support your fellow man. That's really what it is.
Amen.
Wonderful.
Amen to that. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much for doing this with us, being a part of history as we continue to make more history happen.
Exactly.
Um, any last thoughts, Angela, before we transition into the open mic?
Well, I hope when we transition to open mic that Denise, you will join us first. If there's something you would like, if you have anything to share, even if it's just another like off the cuff kind of a expression of love towards what we're doing here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get this live posted, and I'll be in the chat, and I'll be joining us very shortly. But it was beautiful conversation. I
Yeah.
look forward to having more
Yes.
conversations with you again, and we can have some
Yes.
conversation about how different families immigrated through and all that wonderful
Yes.
Yes.
We should
conversation. I'd
definitely
love
we
to.
should definitely do a part two. We should definitely do a part two
Yes.
soon
We
for
need to
I
hear
sure.
agree.
about how amazing this event happened
I
next week
agree.
on Friday. I know so many of our fans and us want to be able to join you with that. And thank you for
Yes.
sharing and telling us how we
Thank
can
you,
do this.
guys.
All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys are my brothers and sisters in the struggle, and in the encouragement, and the bringing together of various communities, and I love it. Thank you so much.
Well, we love having
Thank
you on,
you.
and thank you for allowing us to honor you and honoring your mission of allowing those Haitians to come together and
Yeah.
understand that they are loved and they deserve,
Yeah.
our respect as well. So.